Welcome back to PTV World Special Transmission. India warmongering at the peak, but life in Pakistan is moving as usual. Business is as usual in Pakistan. We are not scared, we are not panicked as being portrayed by the Indian jingoistic media, and all those attempts of isolating Pakistan at the international forum, they backfired, and Pakistan's response was very responsible, and all entire world, all the international capital, all important international organizations, they basically backed the argument of Pakistan of holding transparent and independent inquiry into Pahalgam incident, and Pakistan offered its all-out support to India to share evidence, and if there is any involvement of the Pakistan's Pakistan in that so-called incident, and that was in fact a false flag operation. So Pakistan would definitely be do some sort of definite action, but India refused to answer that sane and sagacious call. Why? Because India had no evidence, or India had no defense to tell the world it was something an act of terror, and the terrorists, they crossed the border, came all the way to Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir and conducted that terrorist strike. But since it was orchestrated by the Indian intelligence agency, so that's why India is shying away from all to answer all those questions and not responding to the calls by the international leaders that there must be an fair and independent inquiry into that incident. But that approach has its own consequences, not only in India but in the entire South Asian region. Both the countries, they are nuclearly armed, and Pakistan, in very plain word, told the world that any misadventure by India this time would be met with the befitting response. In fact, the much larger response that India is expecting. In 2009, when India undertook a similar misadventure, India faced the embarrassment. We made India, face the dust, and we shot down 2 of their planes, arrested one of their pilots, and later on we returned that pilot very respectably. So Pakistan's stance is very much clear in that instance, and that's what exactly we are discussing and exposing the lies of the Indian government and exposing the warmongering of the Indian jingoistic media. In this hour, I am with Dr. Adil Shah, Adil Sultan. He's in the studio with us. Thank you very much, Dr. Shah, once again. And staying for another hour, Humayun Khan Saab is also with us again. Thank you very much, Humayun Saab, once again. And Rashid Safi Saab is joining us in this hour. Thank you very much, Rashid Safi Saab, for sparing time at this AM. Dr. Saab, we discussed a number of issues in the previous hour. But now, the political unity is very much important. When our armed forces were fighting the war on terror against the Fitna al-Khawarij, and we conducted so many operations. So every time it was very much important, the support of the local people or even the entire nation is very much important for the armed forces to boost their morale, and to tell the world that Pakistanis are not radicalized people and they refuse to follow the ideology of the terrorists or the radicalized elements. And now when we are facing threats from the western side of the border, still we feel that our entire nation is siding with the armed forces no matter what. I mean, they are there, and in fact many people, I mean, I personally met several people, the common people in Pakistan, and they say that we are ready to volunteer ourselves if they need our services. Even the ex-army men, the ex-soldiers like yourself, they are ready to go back to the active duty and to defend the motherland. I mean, this is the kind of the sentiment, what we call in Urdu the jazba, which is very much needed, and we have exhibited in a very exceptional fashion to the entire world. I mean, this is amazing. Don't you think that it gave us an opportunity to get united once again?
Absolutely. India always gives us such opportunities. They have given in the past as well. We had some internal differences during previous crises, political difference, whatever. But once it comes to India, this I say all for one, one for all. So nobody, I think, wants to voice their concerns at this critical moment. And we have seen, and there's a history, and it's a very important to understand. Military alone cannot fight wars. Nation support has to be crucial. And once it comes to India, always nation has stood with whosoever, as Mayu was mentioning during the earlier segment. Whenever the crisis happened and it was India, nation stood with its leadership. And I'm not just making a statement over here. If we see the previous 5 crises where India has played the same playbook, 2001 and 2, military standoff that lasted for almost 8 months. India went with the same playbook, accusing Pakistan, and it mobilized its entire military, and we saw the public or the people supporting. At that time, President Musharraf was there, the ruler. So people were there with the military and against India. And then we saw in 2008, again, India came up with the same kind of accusations against Pakistan. Irrespective of our internal problems or differences, or whatever it is, we saw nations supporting their military. Then came the 2016, which India claimed that they had launched ground-based surgical strike. Nobody believed them. Pakistan also said there were no strikes, hence no response from the Pakistani side. But there were the public emotions, they were with the leadership. And then we saw in 2019 the kind of support the people, and especially after what happened to the Indian military, because they were the aggressors, they tried something and they got a response, and which was adequate at that time, and people were with the leadership. So whosoever was at that time, so political or military leader,
right.
So people were there. And this time again, India probably miscalculated that probably Pakistan is embroiled in too many problems of its own. Yes, but once it comes to India, I think India does help Pakistanis to get united.
Of course, of course, of course. But it forced me to ask you a very specific question, Humayun Khan Saab, and since you know the internal politics of India very well, how would you define the personality of a person called Narendra Modi, who unfortunately is the Prime Minister of that country?
Shahzad, I think we miscalculated Prime Minister Modi. He's a very elegant guy. He's a very populist guy.
Is he?
He is, yes. And that's the whole reason we are
populist maybe, but elegant I fail to understand.
Well, we can debate on that, but having said that, he is very eloquently putting up his argument.
Not elegant.
For I wouldn't get into that debate. I still respect, as a Prime Minister of another country, an amazing guy. But on the other side, what he's doing as part of his policy, that's something which is very despicable. You know, these two countries, which are like intertwined with history and culture and God knows what, the way he is dividing us is unfortunate. You know, in the last 1 hour of the discussion that we were having, I think his false flag internally in his mind, what he's trying to do is basically deleting the history of the nation. We are two nations who are intertwined in many senses, despite the fact that we are very different, despite the fact that we have culturally, historically, politically very different, but we have lived for like thousands of years.
No, but he's not. Yeah, sure.
Okay, go ahead.
No, please continue.
So my question is, what he is trying to do is telling us that, you know, these Pakistanis are against the creation of Hindu state, and we're not. We have been part of this Hindu state for like thousands of years. We were together. We were Mughals, we were Khiljis, we were Al-Tamash.
Again, my previous argument and the question, I mean, they are in some sort of inferiority complex, ruled by the Muslim rulers, Khilji, Tughlaq, Mughal, whatever, Lodhis. Why? Because they were all Muslims. So the inferiority complex, I mean, they were living in the past 1,000 years. I mean, they are now trying to get out of that complex. And in that attempt, they are making mistakes. I mean, the world has moved on. We lived in 2025.
They're making huge mistakes. And by, let me correct you in a way that they have no anomaly or they have no backlash when they were ruled by the British for like 200 years.
Yeah.
They had history or they have issues when Muslims and Sikhs and others were ruling them.
No, that's another level of inferiority complex. You ruled by the Gori Chamdi and you are okay, and you are ruled by the brown people and there is a problem.
But coming back to the current crisis, I think what Prime Minister Modi is trying to do is very unfortunate in a way that, you know, he has taken certain lessons from history, he has taken certain lessons from culture, he has taken certain lessons from politics, and then he amalgamated them in a way that he's saying that, you know, Pakistan is against India. We're never against India. We are, okay, there are like 5 tone strategy that government of Pakistan is adopting. The first one is national unity is the most important aspect for us. We want all the nationalities. The second is army is ready to defend our country. Any army and any country with a military force would be doing that. Third was we are using diplomacy. We are not using force. We are never using force. We will never use force. That's some of the inherent diplomatic principles.
We vote if needed.
And then India is, you know, that's a separate discussion. India is using a false flag operation narrative A, B, and C.
Right.
And the fifth one is we want peace. We don't want war. We condemn what has happened in Pahalgam. We want impartial inquiry into that incident. We don't want any sort of like wall mongering. Why India is doing that? Because they want election in Kerala, they want election in Bihar, they want political entities in and around to see Prime Minister Modi becoming a larger than life figure. He is, he is not.
Right. Let me include Rashid Safi Saab in the debate. Rashid Safi Saab, taking advantage of your presence since you've been very informed journalist in Islamabad. Today, the Information Ministry and the DG ISPR, they briefed key political leaders in Islamabad, and the crux of the discussion was, of course, the government strategy and the preparedness of our armed forces and all the lies we are hearing from other side of the border. So, can you just give us some insight what exactly transpired in that meeting and what they told to the political leadership?
Thank you, Shahzad. Coming to your question, I just want to comment your earlier question about Modi. In my personal opinion, I am not considering Modi as a political leader. He is like RSS activist, and he is like a preacher of Hindutva. Beside this, he is leading a huge country, and he is like acceptable now due to the financial and the strength of Indian economy.
Very
he
right.
is acceptable to the world.
Very
but we know about the Modi and Amit Shah and like Mohan Bhagat.
Exactly.
So these we know better about them, that they are not like, even I am not considering BJP, it's my personal opinion. BJP is a political party, it's a political wing of RSS, it's my opinion. Coming to your question, yes, it was very like we are noticed.
No, can I ask you a question on this? I mean, whatever you just the thing is, even if BJP is a political wing of that radical organization, what we know as RSS, but people of India, some people of India, I don't know if they were the rigged elections or the fair elections, but the people of India, as they claim, voted for them. They voted those people to come to power. So now the question is, either they were very smart in molding or converting the opinion of the the liberal and secular people of India, whatever Congress and other liberal parties are saying, and they are chest beating why their mandate was stolen, and in every state election they are leading because do you think that they have learned the art, or they got some ultimate formula to win the election, and that is basically to criticize Pakistan, to start a warlike situation and get, you know, some sort of a benefit in the polls?
It's like the support of BJP and RSS is like the result of a typical Hindutva mindset. May I ask a counter question to you? When the people of KPK voted for PTI and they elected Imran Khan, so can you describe the whole Pashtun nation are behind to PTI?
I mean, you are Pashtun yourself, so you can better answer that question.
I voted for the PTI, so I considering PTI as a political party, and they are doing in some aspect you can say that is a very good political party. But look at your question as you raised earlier that today the ISPR and Information Minister give a briefing to the political party, but PTI had refused to join that meeting.
Let's focus on BJP and
I'm coming to that. I'm just want to have a counter argument to BJ. I'm not comparing BJP PTI. We respect
but
a
it
lot.
was very unfortunate that, I mean, it was a point of showing the national unity despite your political differences.
Exactly.
So you must have been there to at least show the world that you are united, whatever your political differences were with the government.
We have a lot of time to settle our political score, and if this country will remain peaceful, so we can do our politics, we can do our political, we can settle our political differences with the other political opponents.
Exactly.
But in this critical situation, when the whole India, they believe, and now the whole world shows them a mirror that India is totally false in Pahalgam, and they are not able to prove anything about that attack, and that they are falsely involving Pakistan in that attack. But look at the Indian media, look at the Congress, look at the BJP, look at the RSS, look at the other political elements of India. They are all on one page. But here in Pakistan, unfortunately.
It's unfortunate. But would you like to shed some light on what exactly transpired in that briefing? Were the political leadership which was present in that briefing satisfied with all those answers given by the information minister from the civilian side and the DGSPIR from the military side?
I cannot say, and I cannot answer on behalf of other political party, but being a political and like conflict journalist, I can say yes, ISPR did a lot since the Pahalgam. That is third briefing from ISPR directly. First, DGISPR hold a separate press briefing. Then with the Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister, he hold another joint press conference, and now he went to the political parties and he put a clear picture in front of these political parties that what is the incident was, what is Pakistan preparation, and what will Pakistan will do if India will India will show their aggression in practical way. And now Pakistan is also moving to United Nations Security Council, and that is the first time Pakistan is demanding to United Nations Security Council. So let's speak on this issue. We are ready to show all the evidence. So if the Modi and the Modi Sarkar had the guts, so let them bring their evidence, and Pakistan is ready to show the evidence not only in domestic front but at international fronts.
Very right. Dr. Saab, what does your experience say, that is there going to be a full-scale war between the two countries? I mean, if yes, then should we buy some weapons and wait for the invaders if they come at all?
You don't have to buy your personal weapons. Okay. I think we have a potent military.
We have enough.
Yeah, we have
already.
Military.
Our armed forces are very vigilant and very well prepared to deal with any sort of crisis. Yeah.
But we can do our bits by through other platforms and through other means, whatever we are doing, and we can help towards the national
But
cause.
is there any possibility of war? Because this is the question being asked at every important media outlet. Is there a possibility of full-scale war?
I
or
want
no?
to answer to that
Yeah.
Sure.
after Dr. Sab.
Sure. Dr. Sab.
Yeah. Possibility, yes and no, because nuclear weapon states, they don't go to war with each other.
Absolutely, yes.
That's a universal principle, because if you go to war, that will lead to mutual assured destruction.
But that argument fell short when Kargil occurred, and though the two countries almost had a very limited scale war with each other.
Kargil was not a war.
It was not a war, of
Yeah.
course. It was sort of a skirmish, you call it, but still, I mean, we had
limited conflict.
casualties from both sides.
Yeah, nuclear weapons have benefit, but it also induces a phenomena which we social scientists term as stability instability
I mean,
paradox.
in simple words, not the war like we had in 65 and 71.
Yeah, true. So that's what I'm saying, the stability instability paradox, and that's a concept we learned from the Cold War model, that once there is stability at the strategic level, the rivals, the adversaries, they know that war is not an option. So they tend to indulge in limited crises or limited conflicts with each other. And that's what probably has been happening post 1998.
Right.
Pre 1998, we have had major wars, 3 major wars. Post 1998, there had been no major war
So that
between India and
nuclear
Pakistan.
deterrence is still playing a part.
Absolutely, that's a core. That's the fundamental issue or the reason that India cannot wage war against Pakistan. We saw in 2001 and 2, I earlier mentioned, India mobilized its entire military. They stayed at the border for 8 months. And after suffering losses just because of those deployment, the economic losses and the human losses, they had to retreat after 8 months. Reason, Pakistan had potent nuclear deterrent.
Exactly.
And the signaling was done at the right time. Move on to 2008. India threatened aerial surgical strikes against Pakistan. Pakistan said, okay, if you want to do it, go ahead, we will respond the same way. And India was deterred. So your conventional deterrence worked, but at the back, nuclear capability was there. India knew that if it escalates, it can go anywhere. 2019 as well. Many people in Pakistan, or mostly in India, they say we challenged Pakistan's nuclear deterrent. They are fundamentally wrong. Nuclear weapons are not a panacea for all kind of conflicts.
Of course.
That the conflict starts and you bring in your nuclear weapons. We have conventional responses. You must have heard about this full spectrum deterrence, where conventional responses are there. So the conventional responses were exercised and your political objective was achieved, so there was no point killing a fly with a hammer. Yeah.
Just make one thing clear, as an academic and ex-soldier, you believe that the nuclear weapons in fact are not to be used. They are the strategic weapons just to maintain your kind of capability how to defend yourself. I mean,
Absolutely, nuclear weapons are, their primary purpose is deterrence. Because
Deterrent,
if you
of
have
course.
used
Deterrence,
nuclear
yeah,
weapons,
sure.
deterrence means that it has failed. You have not been able to convince your adversary not to mess with me, because that's the definition of deterrence. Don't cross my thresholds.
so but last time the
Yeah.
button was pushed, we had Nagasaki and whatever happened over there.
Nagasaki, Hiroshima was a very early stage of nuclearization. World didn't understand
All right,
what
all
nuclear weapons actually mean.
All right.
I think now it is very clear that any nuclear use will lead to millions of deaths.
Of course,
and that's not
understandably.
something-
Sir,
yeah,
before you answer the question, we are going for a very short break and then we'll come back. Viewers, we'll taking a news break and we'll get back and continue our discussion. Welcome back to PTV World Special Transmission. You just heard the report of that important briefing given by DG ISPR and Information Minister of Pakistan to top political leadership in Pakistan, and they briefed the government strategy to deal with this imminent crisis and the preparedness of the armed forces. And it was very much important to show the political unity, and as we were discussing earlier back, years ago when a terrorist attack took place at the Army Public School, the unity of the entire nation was unmatched, and today we are seeing the same amount of unity. And exactly what we were discussing, Humayun Saab, why it is important to take the political leadership into confidence? I mean, the government voted to power and they had all the constitutional and legal rights to, do whatever they feel fit for the country and the nation. But why they feel important to take the political leadership into confidence? What do you think?
No, this is pretty simple, Shahzad. Any form of policies, be it made at any form of the government, the domestic policy is basically an extension of your foreign policy. If there is a comprehensive, stable foreign domestic policy, that is an extension of your foreign policy, and that's the case for Pakistan. And that's exactly what we have been discussing for the last 2 hours. Pakistan from post Pulwama, Uri, Balakot 2019 is a different country now. We are very united, we are very cohesive, and there's a very strong response. We have our differences, politically speaking, governance point of view, economically, there are issues, but that's nothing to do with when it comes to our national security strategy.
True that.
We are united, and that's basically, you come from PTI, you come from PMLN, you come from PPP, you come from JUI, you come from JI, JUIF. Everybody is united, and that's something which Indians were relying on, this sense of political disintegration, which we were seeing. That's a domestic issue. That's basically where they went wrong. Now, coming that to another level, in the geopolitics, we have our friends together from United States of America, we have China, we have UAE, we have Qatar, we have Doha, we have Saudi Arabia, all of them. Now, there are like 3 very important aspects which I need to highlight, and if you give me just 1 minute. There's a global response in terms of US tariffs vis-a-vis different nations. Pakistan stayed strong with its ally China. The second one was in terms of how Chinese economy was progressing. We stood with our friend China in terms of everything, and that's exactly what Wang Yi, when he spoke with Ishaq Dar, the deputy foreign minister and the deputy prime minister and foreign minister. And then the third one was the China and EU summit. Now the world was moving in different direction, in which everybody was thinking that, we have a polarized world where China is dying, US is doing. So in that sense, we put our eggs in a basket, which is basically where we are gaining a lot right now.
I mean, you can take another 15 seconds of,
Dr.
taking
Adil
the lead of Dr. Adil's argument on the nuclear deterrence. And as we say that both countries are nuclearly armed, and India would not be foolish enough to do any misadventure, despite knowing the fact that, I mean, we have the capability.
No, absolutely. Our deterrence works so much effectively when we have our allies together. So now Chinese are helping us with PL-15, Chinese are helping us with air superiority. He can speak more eloquently than anybody else in the room. Chinese are helping us economically, politically, socially. So in that sense, I think we are in a very safe environment where we're calling the bluff of the Indian leadership, where they're saying that हम जंग करेंगे, अब हम आ गए, हम आपको मारेंगे. Like, this is
exactly.
In a nuclear environment with the 2 most capable nuclear countries in the world, you don't do this. You don't do these rhetoric and media frenzy which they are doing. And I think the bluff has been already called.
Exactly. Rashid, Safi sahab, when our armed forces are rendering every sort of sacrifice on both sides of the country, on the western border, on the eastern border, but there are certain elements within the society which are still trying to defame the armed forces, all those patriotic Pakistanis which are sincerely trying to resolve every sort of threat we are facing. And you have seen the social media feed in which you see several very objectionable messages, AI generated images and other text, which is disgusting in fact. And what message would you give to those people for their own petty political gain? You are trying to play with the sentiment of the entire nation. You are trying to harm the interest of the entire nation and playing in the hands of the enemies.
Shahzad, you are quite right. Unfortunately, we have still a very small minority in our society which are not openly supporting the state narrative, and they are betraying, I think, the motherland. So it's very rare, these people, and they are not doing this for the political gain right now. I think they are doing this by individually, just for few views and for some small money from the YouTube and from the X and these social media platforms. But overall, after the Pahalgam false operation, we had noticed that Pakistan pretend and Pakistan show the world that we are one nation and we are behind our state and we are behind our armed forces. So now that's why Indian media is like crying that Asim Munir has a vast support not only inside in Pakistan but outside in the world. And that is we have a lot of argument and we have lot of evidence that Pakistan has show the world that look, we are facing war on terror since decade. We are sacrificing ourselves.
Of course. Shafi, one question. I mean, you must have seen the videos in which the people like Bramdag, Bukti, Harbayar, Murray, you know, begging India to give them the sanctuary, and they basically, despite living in Pakistan, their families in Pakistan, and you know ruling some part of Pakistan for a long time, and you know asking a rival or enemy state to help them for their own financial or personal gains. The point is, don't you think that now the time has come that we should get rid of all these elements once and for all? There should be zero tolerance and zero acceptance to those people in our society. When we have done a lot, asking them, requesting them, trying to let them get rehabilitated, but all efforts failed.
I think we can, if we can stop India, a huge nation, and India is claiming like a huge military force as well. If they cannot like have the courage to directly attack the Pakistan, so we can deal with our own our own enemy inside in our society. But collateral damage is always we are keeping this in our mind. So BLA, BRA, BNA, ISKP, TTP, these people are not big we can deal with iron hand with these all organization. But you see, when we have conducted operation in ex-tribal area in KP and Balochistan, so we also face some backlashes. So keeping this point, we cannot, we are still not considering these all forces and these all like organization like totally enemy, like we are not dealing them with enemy. We are still dealing with the national as a national of Pakistan. So that is the main point, that the security forces are having like soft hand on them. But in future, if they are challenging our sovereignty, if they are harming our sovereignty, so no doubt we have no choice.
We have no choice, of course. Lastly, Dr. Saab, any message to our soldiers in this time of crisis? If you call it a crisis, we don't think that's a crisis, but still.
Yeah. I would just say one-liner, which I said earlier: all for one, one for all. We are all one nation against any external aggression. But if you allow me, let me just clear one of the comment which Humayun made. I just want to elaborate for the better understanding of the audience. It's good to have your friends on your side, and China is a time-tested friend. It has always helped Pakistan. But you have to fight your own wars yourself.
True.
China will never fight on your behalf. We should never ask them to fight, and we should not put them in any difficult position, and they won't. nations fight their own wars themselves. So yes, we have bought lots of military equipment from China, so as India has bought from rest of the world. But I think it's more important to understand that our capability is not only based on the equipment, it's also based on the concepts that have been evolved. I'll just give you an example. India spends around $77 billion annually on its defense, and we spend around 10-11 billion dollars. So there's a differential of 1:7.
Sure.
Why India couldn't attack Pakistan in 2001 and 2008, 2016, 2019, and even now, after so many days, after committing and putting yourself in a commitment trap that Modi has done, why they have not been able to do? Because they know the capabilities of Pakistan's military. And I'll just give you one example of the Air Force, because I have interacted with them. Our Air Force, after 2019, even 2019 episode was a reflection of the kind of training that the pilots are given in Pakistan Air Force. So it was not, otherwise you cannot plan such a mission in 24 hours.
Of course, of course, of
so
course.
the Air Force was already planning or thinking about such scenarios even before Indian thought about that surgical strike, and they got a response 24 hours. Since 2019, so much has changed. Air Force has evolved. We have got EW platforms, AVACS, and the whole concept has changed.
In short, they can buy all those latest gadgets and equipments, but literally they really cannot buy the bravery and the jazba what we have, of course.
Their military is still in the 20th century.
There are something money really cannot buy, even at this
in simple terms, their military is still in 20th century.
Yeah, okay.
We have moved on.
Of course, of course. Thank you
I'll
so
just
much.
add one
very quickly,
10
sir.
second.
Yeah.
I think I second Dr. Adil what he just mentioned. In terms of fighting with the Indians, I think we don't need anybody's help. China is a friend of ours. If they help us, we always will take it. But we don't need their help. We are capable enough in terms of our own capacity. We can deal with the Indian threat, no matter it's like
No matter what.
end of
No,
discussion.
no doubt about it, Humayun Saab. Thank you so much for your time. Rashid Safi Saab, thank you so much for joining in the program. Dr. Sultan, thank you so much indeed for sparing time for the transmission. And thank you so much, viewers, for watching PTV World transmission. And keep watching PTV World as we will continue to expose the Indian lies. Thank you very much. Good night and Khuda Hafiz. Thank you.